All right, and we are going to talk on the podcast, as always, about different topics with dogs that you may not know, you might know, make you happy, make you angry, make you sad. But whatever they do, it's good to hear from you. If you're pissed off, that's awesome. I like pissed off. If you're happy, then give us a call anyway, but not as much as if you're pissed off. Check out our website at k9sts.com. Like us on Facebook, and what's our topic today? Do you have a specific topic, or are you just, because I know you guys are organized and I'm not.
Right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about training methods and the gimmicks and the theories behind the purely positive versus only negative.
Do you really want to get me started on this?
We kind of do.
Why?
Well, because we've all been through a very myriad of different trainers, as we've mentioned in previous podcasts. And so we've seen both sides. Okay, so we have all had dogs that have been problematic and that we've looked for many different training advice and tools, and I have gone through everything from cookies to gentle leaders to harnesses.
Yeah, you had a bag.
I did have a bag.
Yeah.
I collected a bag.
Yeah, it was a bag of training stuff.
Yes, sprays so that I could keep my dogs off of things and keep them calm. Pheromones that you plug into the wall.
Pheromones?
Yes. It's supposed to like chill them out.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
I'm playing along for radio, but I'm like, yeah, that's so stupid.
I know.
There was one I saw on TV, the sonic behavior regulator. Like it made a high pitched sound. You pointed it at your dog, and it stopped any behavior. And I'm like, that's like the meanest thing in the world. It's like, and your dog's brain is like, I can't take it. That's awesome.
It's like the sonic boom that they use.
Yeah, it's great.
So, interesting thing is, though, a lot of those made me feel good.
Why did they make you feel good?
Well, because I felt like I was being humane or I was being nice to my dog. And I figured if I was nice enough, eventually the dog would get it, right? Eventually the dog would say, I will do anything for you.
You go ahead, Gabby.
I think it's also like a quick fix. It's almost like...
It's a Band-Aid.
It's like, say you want to lose weight and you're watching an infomercial on TV.
Why are you saying, do I want to lose weight?
No, not you,
Oh.
per se. But
Just looking
anybody
in the general
listening here. So, like, you see those commercials on TV for, like, those little things you wrap around your waist and it makes your waist size go down automatically somehow.
Yeah.
Which obviously you have to know that's not going to work. If you want to lose weight, you have to eat healthy and exercise. And the same goes in for training, I think. You know, you're sitting there thinking, oh, my dog has crate anxiety. So instead of going to a trainer and spending money on meeting with the trainer and going to classes and putting in the work, I'm just going to buy the Thunder shirt and throw it on my dog and leave him in his crate. And
and there are people that swear by each of these gimmicks. There's a great writer, and I don't say, how often do you hear me give praise to other people in the dog world? Not a lot. And I don't mean that to be mean. It's just that I have very high standards. And April, you know, one of my favorite writers is Julia McDonough.
Yes.
She is amazing writer, and she wrote for a now defunct magazine. I did too at the same time, and I always hated having my articles in it because it was like, me trained dog, you watch, and she was just like silk would just pour from her mouth. It was awesome. So she wrote an article called Anything But Training, and it was a great article, and I wish I could get a copy of it. But that's kind of what we're talking about, is that people get electric fences so your dog won't take off. They get muzzles so your dogs won't bite. They get citronella collars so your dogs won't bark. They get no jump harnesses so your dogs won't jump. They get gentle leaders so your dogs won't pull. They get a little patch of grass so your dog can shit in the house. Anything but training. Anything. And that's what that's why we have a lot of problems, is people don't want to know the deep-rooted problem. They want to just get a fix. Just as quick as you can, give me some fast food and make this go away. The difference is that problem is still there. It's just under a mask of some hormone spray.
Yeah.
You know, like if I come home and April's PMSing and I spray hormones all over the place, that's just masking the problem, and she's still going to yell at me.
Right.
Yeah, she's the one spraying hormones all over the place, you know?
So, and I think what's interesting is how
Too much, you think? Too far? She's right here. My wife's right here. So.
Q-Tip just went on like a whole...
It should be known that I did stand-up comedy for 10 years. Yeah, focus. So when I say stuff like this, it's okay because I'm a comedian. If you said it, it would be rude and sexist and wrong. But if I say it, it's just comedy.
But I think what's interesting is that how attached you get to these gimmicks as a person who doesn't have the background or the knowledge to train it. Because I remember the first time you took, I had Lorelai in a gentle leader, I believe, and I think you took the gentle leader off and threw it across the room. And I was like,
no, wait a minute.
What is she? You have like she's gonna drag me across the floor.
But hang on. It was a gentle toss to make a point. I said, you won't be needing this anymore, you beautiful young lady. And that was how it went, wasn't it?
Sure.
Okay.
But we've seen other people legitimately freak out when you ask them to take off their tool.
Yeah, because it's their
blanket.
Yeah, it's their safety blanket, and you're not gonna get anywhere until you take that safety blanket off. I want to see the problem. I want to see here's the thing with Purely Positive. If your mission in life is to train a dog, but to not ever make it uncomfortable, that's not realistic. Dogs are going to be uncomfortable. You go to train for a new job, you're uncomfortable. You go to a place where you get pulled over by a cop, you're going to be uncomfortable. There's discomfort. Discomfort is natural. Negativity is natural, but negative is a negative word. We don't want negative words.
Right.
We don't even want negative thoughts.
Right.
Tough shit.
I mean, people think that being a good dog owner is to make the dog comfortable.
Yeah, right? No. It's not to make them uncomfortable, but they have to learn from their lessons. So why do I think there should be negative, and I'm not saying negative reinforcement, I'm saying negativity in training. So negativity is a very, very powerful thing, and if you use it the wrong way, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to lose trust. But I will give you an example. I would like honest answers from all of you lying pack of shit people. Here's the deal. If I was a mama wolf, fox, coyote, or even a domestic dog that had a litter of pups out in the forest, how would she teach them not to touch the skunk, the scorpion, or the porcupine?
She would learn.
Right, because you guys have all been programmed by me. But she would let them learn. She can't run around going, no, let's get a gentle leader and pull them away. Or let's get a thunder shirt because they're afraid of the raccoon. No, you have to learn from your consequences and your experience. But they have to be judicial and they have to be measured. They can never be done with anger. Yes, April.
It's the similar analogy of that you say, well, we as humans have negativity too in our lives where if you're speeding,
you get a ticket.
You get pulled over,
yep.
You're going to get a ticket.
Yep.
That's a negative experience. So
yep.
that's there to teach you don't speed.
Right. That's right. The consequence is there.
Yeah. Life is not positive, all positive.
Life is not positive. Life is both. But the thing is now is that when people say purely positive, there is no such training method as purely positive. It doesn't exist. Because the minute you say no to your dog, the minute you put a leash on the dog and it can't do what it wants, it becomes negative. When you restrain, that's a negative form. Reinforcement is different, and we have to clear that up. I give positive reinforcement when things go well and the dog gives me exactly what I want. Negative reinforcement would be you're bad and I'm going to really make it so you understand you're bad. I think appropriate negative consequence is a good teaching tool, not negative reinforcement. Does that make sense?
So it's kind of the same with kids, right? If you're parenting,
yeah.
You have to put some sort of boundaries and they have to understand.
But you have the gift of verbal communication within the same species when that happens. You don't have that gift when a dog, which is not a human, I mean, you might not believe that, but it's not a human. When a dog, you can talk all you want. I mean, I had people come in and they go, stop it, and the dog just keeps doing it, stop it, and I'm like, I can't hear stop it one more time.
I think you have a video on Leave It.
Yeah, Leave It, yeah.
It reminds me of the time we were at the Pet Expo this summer, and there was that little white dog, Mr. Cuddles.
Mr. Cuddles, I do
And
remember Mr. Cuddles.
Mr. Cuddles was a very aggressive little white dog.
It was a Maltese who was trying. It was Jeffrey Dahmer of Maltese. He was crazy.
Yeah, and so this dog's like going off at people that walk by and just.
What's
like,
that mean, going off?
Like barking, lunging,
trying
like
to bite
really
them.
aggressive sounding. But he's just a little dog named Mr. Cuddles, so people don't really look at it as negatively as if they saw my 75-pound black dog doing the same exact thing. So
what was Mr. Cuddles wearing? A harness and a flexi lead.
Yeah.
And what were they doing? This is a dog trainer, professional. I don't know who the person was, but it was a professional dog trainer. They're letting the line out, so the dog's got 15 feet of freedom to just. There's a radius around this person where the dog's just trying to kill anything that comes in there. Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. But how they solved the problem was to take out food and run to the front of the dog to try to give it. But they didn't press the button, so they're running 15 feet ahead, feeding the dog, running 15 feet. So what they're doing is giving the dog food for trying to kill people and bringing them closer to people. Eventually, they gently asked the dog to leave, and he gave them the doggy digit, and so they ended up dragging him off, which was not positive. I would have trained that in a very different way. I would let the dog know that behavior is not allowed. How? I can't tell you over this medium because you can't see it. But I also am not a huge fan of giving techniques because then people apply them across the board. Well, I don't like him eating out of the trash, so I'm going to do what Chris said. I don't like him jumping on the bed, so I'm going to do what Chris said. It's not like that. It's a fluid situation. But there are so many experts that will tell you that purely positive is the only way. And then there's so many people that will tell you electric collars are the only way, or prong collars, or choke collars, or I don't know what else they got now, halty collars, or gentle leaders, spray. I mean, I met a lady, and I'm telling you, I met a lady who said you could sit down, and when your dog was asleep, sit in front of it and meditate your obedience commands into your dog, and your dog would pick it up. So there's a wide variety of people giving advice out there, and the general dog owner, the person who's just got a dog for the first time, second time, or is just running into a behavior problem, where do you go? What do you do? Well, dogs have a language all their own, and it's a lot simpler than you think. What we've done is try to get the people who own the dog, and it's not always possible, to read the dog. And then, okay, you can read it, that's good. But now, what is the antidote, or what is the correction for the certain behavior that you have? And how does that work? Well, it won't work unless your dog respects you. So respect is the first ingredient. Without obedience, without respect, you cannot have obedience. So you have to have respect first. How you get that? Rules. How you get that? But it's the touch, how you put it on, how you allow your dog to do things. I mean, it's so subjective, and it's so a hot topic because people read in a book that this is how you train a dog, and then they go open a business, and that's how they do it. They're not willing to learn or think outside the box. The other part of that is, and I know I'm on a tear, hold up my happy face sign. Thank you. The other part of that is when people only believe one method, run away. Run away. Because you cannot do, there's nothing. There's only one way to do things, bullshit. There's a bunch of different ways to do things. But when you get hooked and when you get stuck in one place and your opinion, your mind closes because you're judging other people on how they train, you're lost. You have to constantly be thinking. I mean, I was talking to Dylan the other day, how many times we come up, oh, it's Q-tip, shit, I said his name. We talk about how many times do we come up with a new way to do something. Yep. And it's not because we're geniuses, it's just because we want to see if we can do something better that the dog has a better chance of understanding. So,
well, I think that's, for me, the aha moment on this topic with Lorelei was BC before Chris.
And Lorelei's your Great Dane.
Lorelei's my Great Dane.
The world's smallest Great
Dane.
The
world's smallest Great Dane, who was super dog aggressive.
Yep.
One of the first techniques that I tried before going to see you was the bat training. And it was all purely, it was all
Like an
purely
aluminum
false.
bat?
I think it's B.A.T. I don't remember
Yeah,
what
so
it stands for.
beat, assault,
Right.
and torture.
Except for not at all.
Okay.
So what happens is this is especially to work with aggressive dogs. So you have two dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and you put one dog at one end of a hallway
Mm-hmm.
with their owner, and you
Mm-hmm.
put another dog at the other end of the hallway.
This sounds suspiciously like what Michael Vick went to jail for.
And you start walking your dogs closer to each other face to face. So they're
Yeah.
walking up to each other, right?
Yeah.
And
This definitely sounds like
That's
what
what you
Michael
want,
Vick went to
right?
jail for.
So the thing is that your dog has to display calmness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to not react, or it needs to lick its lips, or have some sort of calm
that's
signal.
fun.
And the moment they do that, you turn around with your dog and run away the other way, praising them. Like, yeah, you didn't kill this dog, right?
Are you
Wow.
fucked up?
Wait, we go to another spot
Oh
then.
my god.
So say you do this, so you reset, you keep getting, closer. And then if your dog reacts, you run away. You turn around and run away in the opposite direction.
Hang on a
So-
second.
But then
So
you
if the
do
dog,
same way?
so
Yeah, this method.
so if the dog, so it is it just bat or is it bat shit crazy? Here's the deal. If that's how you do things, if that's how you do it, you're doing the same thing
For both
from the
things.
dog's perspective.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing for both behaviors. Why who invented that method?
I have no idea.
Why did they invent it?
I have, because it makes you feel good.
Because it doesn't make the dog uncomfortable, and nobody has to say to the dog, cut the shit.
Right.
We don't do that.
Right.
How is the dog trying to solve the problem with the other aggressive dog? With negativity or positivity?
If they were just allowed to do with negativity.
Negativity, right. But we're going to change that because that's the answer. It's not beating the dog to death, but it's applying a negative consequence for that behavior. How do you do that? Come see me, I'll show you. Every dog is different, every person is different. But instead of just what you're doing, we do in protection work all the time. When we want a dog to bite, we bring the person in the bite suit closer, and the dog acts aggressive, and he runs away. Weakness draws aggression. Then you bring the human in again, and the dog's like, I am the king. Every time I bark at this dog, he runs away. Now, the opposite of that is if you have a dog that doesn't want to fight but is aggressive. He's thinking, every time I bark, I get taken away.
Yeah.
So it's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
And it's not based in any kind of canine logic at all.
No, and that was kind of my breaking point, because I was like, she's not learning anything from this. Either way, she gets taken away from the situation, and it's not teaching me how to deal when she decides she's going to go after the dog down the street, because she'd get to a point where she's like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'm not going to react. But
It sounds like I'm being rude and I'm being like, oh, that's batshit crazy and stuff. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I know some very, very, very good dog trainers. And I know that when you do this kind of thing, you start to see who the people are that kind of go, I love dogs, but they're not really dog trainers. There's hard work that has to be done here, and a lot of it is negative. It's not what you think negative. In fact, most people that I train with, like when I have people like police officers that are going too hard, or even regular, the Hulk. Yeah, I'm always like, easy, man, easy, easy. The correction should be as much is as needed, no more, no less, and you are not emotional about it at all. You're not too timid, and you're not too strong. It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears. But that's you can't do that. It's No Child Left Behind. Everybody gets a trophy. Don't eat peanuts at my school because one kid's got... Yeah, go ahead.
One of the tactics that was suggested to us when our dog started to become aggressive was, so whenever someone like came and knocked on the door, he would go and charge, like, boo-hoo-hoo, like charge at the door, act like he was going to bite somebody, so they would leave or we would take him away, and kind of teach him that every time he did that, he would be pulled away from the situation or it would go away.
Yep.
So we were kind of training that and reinforcing it. But anyway, people were telling us, okay, so every time somebody comes to the door, make sure they give your dog a treat. So
he's still doing the behavior.
Yes, and then we're having people give him a treat.
Oh yeah, that's what we were told to do with Muggsy.
Yeah, so
Give
so
praise
many
for-
people told us that, and I would post on the Facebook group for Catahoula's and trying to get advice from people that thought they were trainers or whatever and thought they could give good advice, and they would say, oh, if your dog's afraid of kids, just make sure you have lots of kids around and give your dog treats. And I'm like, okay, so anybody volunteering their kids
Right.
up to get bitten?
It's ridiculous, and that's the whole thing, is that I guess I'll be the shithead that says it, but everybody else who's got those methods and they've been using them and they don't work. They will work for the mildest of aggressions, and they're only temporary. But people will get very upset if you shake their snow globe, their whole world. If you tell them, they believed the lie so long that it's a truth, and anything else is just pisses them off. You're a terrible person. I'm not a terrible person. I help dogs every day. I help people. You guys wouldn't be here if we weren't helping dogs.
I think what ends up happening is that because we've been doing this for so long and we've seen the success that can happen, that when we see the dogs that come in and the people have been through all these trainers, I feel bad for them.
I do feel bad for them.
Because I'm like, oh my God, they've just been so misguided for so long. But the thing is that what they don't understand is that doing the things that they were doing before is actually making the dog uncomfortable.
Yep.
They're doing exactly what
they're trying not to make the, I get what you're saying. They're trying not to make the dog uncomfortable, but yet that's exactly what they're doing. It's lost in translation.
They're anxious or aggressive.
Because they don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not, look, I don't judge any trainer. I'm not saying you suck because you believe that. It's the trainer that stagnates that I get frustrated with. The trainer who says, this is what we're going to do because I read it in a book, or I watched the guy, or I went to a seminar and this is what they said to do. People who become solid in their beliefs and aren't really trying to help the dogs but trying to make money or trying to push a dog along. Everyone's an expert nowadays. Everyone. There are no people who all you need is a business card and a dream, and you're a dog trainer. And there are some, with the internet, there are some crazy people out there who will give you advice. They make videos. They do all these things, and you go, well, he's got a video. She's got a video. They must know what they're doing. Or they get a dog that will conform to what they're doing and say, see, success. It's a hard time to be a dog because the humans are all screwed up. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. There was one, trainer who used to tell me, if you're going to guide her, away, don't pull her hard, just be gentle with her. And I was like, she's not gentle with me when she's running down the road with my
do you love your dog?
I love my dog.
Have you spent a fortune on your dog?
I have spent a fortune on
How
my
much?
dog.
What do you think? You have pet insurance.
Yes. Just for training or for...
Well, how much have you spent?
Oh gosh, a couple grand at least.
A couple grand?
Yeah.
But I think we're talking more than that.
Definitely more than
I think we're talking, how long have you had this dog?
4 years.
Okay, so I think we're talking...
Like 4 surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had a tail problem, happy tail, and all this stuff. You're not a bad person. You're a great person. You've tried. Your dog's alive.
Yes. Which she
that's
would
a
not
bold
have
statement.
been.
Your dog's alive because you used appropriate negative reinforcement.
Yes.
Right.
And actually now have a dog that everybody says to me,
oh my God,
your dog is awesome.
Right. And
she's happier now for it.
Well, she's
Absolutely.
calmer.
Yeah.
She's not fighting for her life every time a dog comes in the room, and Karen doesn't need rotator cuff surgery now. But it's amazing how people will jump and say, well, that's negative. Or what's the other one that I hear all the time? Your dog's not working with you, it's working for you. Well, first, he has to learn to work for me, then we'll work together.
Yes.
And that's how it is. But people, they just get so locked. And I think the other thing, too, is people are jaded in the dog world. Some people are jaded. That they've had golden retrievers all their life, and they've never run into a problem with a golden retriever. So they think this method of training works for every dog. It doesn't. Even golden retrievers now, we've seen nasty, nasty golden retrievers.
What do we call them?
Well, that's a Julia thing. That's a Julia McDonough came up with that. It's golden deceivers. That's pretty funny. I like that. But it's hard. It's so fluid a situation. The whole thing is fluid. And when people get stuck in cement and believe things are the way they are, it's very hard to get them out, and the dogs suffer for it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting if you just kind of sit back. Sometimes you can see it happen. One of the main also aha moments for me with Lorelai is to negative consequences and how they just happen normally in life.
Organically, yeah.
She went to get into the trash, and we have one of the trash lids that swing, and she stuck her head in the trash and got stuck. And when she went to pull it out, the whole thing comes with her, and she's
that's
panicking.
abuse.
Well, yeah, clearly, because she did it herself.
That's abuse. You can't do that. The poor dog. She must.
Get a different trash can. What were
Right.
I know. What are you thinking?
But you know what? She has never gone near
What's
a
that
trash
called?
can. A pause.
A source
A
correction.
source correction.
Right. The dog got a
You should've
source
studied.
correction.
Because it startled her, and she was like, "Holy crap! What the heck?"
Oh, it's the best.
But it was a negative
Right.
reinforcement for her. She did it to herself.
It's a negative consequence. And so and there are dogs like, she's kind of a wuss,
Yeah.
Lorelai.
Yeah.
But if you have like a Jack Russell or a determined driven dog, that's just an obstacle.
Yeah.
So you have to up your level of correction, and it has to go up to the point that the dog understands.
Yeah.
No more, no less. The reason negative enforcement becomes bad is when people get pissed off about it. And when you get angry and you correct, you're no longer thinking about what you're teaching the dog. You're thinking, why isn't this dog giving me what I want? And that's very, very important. I know people who get decent results that way, but they would get so much more out of their dog if they became teachers to the dog instead of super dictators that are pissed off to the dog.
Because then you kind of negate what you were just saying at the beginning, is that you lose that respect, right?
You do. You lose. The dog will do it, and but the dog won't. I mean, fear is a form of respect, so it's trust.
Breaks trust.
It's trust, and I'm not, I'm not a fairy farts, unicorns, and rainbows kind of guy, and I definitely understand that the dog has to be know where its boundaries are. Well, nature teaches its boundaries with negativity. Why do they eat? Why won't they eat a porcupine, a skunk, or a scorpion? Because it sucks.
Yeah.
Why will they eat a rabbit? Because it's wicked fun to chase, and it's delicious at the end.
Tastes like chicken.
And if the dog outside caught the rabbit and came back to its pack and was like, "Look what I did," what would they do?
Beat the crap out of them.
They'd beat the shit out of them and take the rabbit. And that would even happen at a dog park, Not all dogs are the same, but when you're dealing with problem dogs, usually you're dealing with higher drives, fear, fight, flight, prey drive, all that stuff. And it's just working a method that a trainer has learned to push cookies at a golden retriever puppy isn't going to work. And we use cookies to train, but we train with them. We start the training showing the dogs what to do.
As puppies.
But we do not continue that method. That's like teaching a kid to tie a shoe and then never expecting him to go to college. You have to keep moving forward. You have to keep evolving in your training, or your dog will figure out exactly where your holes are in the training.
And challenging them and challenging yourself.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a hot topic for me. Listen,